Thick atmosphere, huge buildings and AI robots on the streets. This isn't Earth's future, but our solar system's past, because this is Maldek, Earth's neighboring alien planet, and this whole planet was ruled by these advanced AI machines. But one day, something strange happened in Maldek's sky. A bright flash from far away started burning the entire planet's atmosphere. Machines and infrastructure began to melt, and then another light hit the planet directly, with so much energy that the entire planet shattered in an instant into a massive explosion. It broke into billions of pieces and flew apart. This was a nuclear attack carried out by alien life on its moon, located a few 100,000 kilometers away from this planet. But why? So, this is Maldek's moon, blue like Earth, full of vast oceans, rivers and dense forests. The large, giant alien life living on it created those advanced AI machines. These machines later took over Maldek, and to destroy them, these aliens attacked Maldek with their most powerful cosmic weapon. But the biggest loss in this attack was their own. Because as Maldek was destroyed, its moon was thrown out of its orbit. The shockwaves and asteroid impacts from Maldek's explosion caused such devastation on this blue moon that its magnetic field, atmosphere, oceans, everything was destroyed. And this once-in-a-blue moon transformed into a red barren dead celestial body, which we now know as Mars. So hello guys, I'm Kushik, and let's start another new episode. Friends, before we go further in the video, just as you're connected with me on YouTube, I'd like you to connect with me on Instagram too. This is my Instagram handle here. The link is in the description box. Go and follow. In the part of the solar system where Mars ends and Jupiter begins, there's a strange silence. Floating in this silence are millions of rocky chunks, some as small as dust particles, others as large as Earth's big countries. Scientists call this whole area the asteroid belt. But has it ever occurred to you that in most star systems, these kinds of asteroid belts are at their outer edges? But even in our solar system, most asteroids are at its outer edge. So where did such a large asteroid belt come from, right in the middle of the planets? Well, answering this question, many scientists say that this asteroid belt was formed from the destruction of a massive super-Earth planet that existed between Earth and Jupiter. It was destroyed and scattered into pieces like this. Most of its pieces were thrown to the edge of the solar system or towards other planets by the force of the explosion, while some that remained are still orbiting the Sun between Mars and Jupiter. But how did we find out that the asteroid belt is made of pieces of a lost alien planet, and Mars was that planet's moon? So this story goes back to the 18th century when the Titius-Bode law was introduced, which revealed a pattern in planetary distances. That's when science first realized that there was a lot of empty space between Mars and Jupiter. Because in 1766 a German mathematician Johann Titius observed a mathematical pattern in planetary distances. He found that planets aren't randomly scattered but follow a specific formula. According to this pattern, starting from Mercury, the distance to each next planet doubles, and this pattern perfectly predicts the orbits of Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter and Saturn. Not only that, when German astronomer Johann Bode published the Titius-Bode law in 1772, many scientists used this formula to predict the distance of Saturn, and also a hidden planet. And this formula turned out to be so accurate that in 1781, Uranus was also discovered at the predicted position. But then something strange happened, something scary, because during this time, the Titius-Bode law's calculations predicted another planet, and that too, between Mars and Jupiter. After that, scientists all over the world started searching for that planet, but they couldn't find any super-Earth planet there. Moving forward in 1801, an Italian astronomer Giuseppe Piazzi saw something, exactly where the Titius-Bode law had predicted a super-Earth planet, that is, between Mars and Jupiter. It was named Ceres. So was this the lost planet we were looking for? Well no, because Ceres was quite small with a radius of about 470 kilometers, whereas the planet we were looking for was even bigger than Earth. But then another strange event happens. After some time we see some more mysterious objects between Mars and Jupiter. For example, Pallas, Vesta, Juno, and thousands of other asteroids, and all of them were quite small. Especially, none were fit to be called a planet, after which we realized that this is an entire circular band of asteroids, with millions of small asteroids orbiting the Sun in a specific orbit. We named this region the asteroid belt. And this is where the biggest mystery of our story comes into play. Because having an asteroid belt so close to the Sun, in such a perfect orbit, was quite strange. Therefore, many scientists said that this asteroid belt was actually a planet that existed between Earth and Jupiter millions of years ago, and it was full of life just like Earth today. Mars used to orbit it as a moon, but in a nuclear war this planet was destroyed and scattered into pieces. And what we see today as the asteroid belt is proof of this. And I'm not saying this, but this was the statement of astrophysicist Dr. Tom van Flandern from Yale University. So in 1980, Van Flandern was an expert in planetary motion and orbital anomalies at the U.S. Naval Observatory. He raised many questions about NASA's accretion model, which explains the process of planet formation, and stated that it was wrong. According to NASA's accretion model, planets formed about 5 billion years ago, after the Sun was formed, from particles in the rapidly rotating leftover material around it, called an accretion disk, which collided and stuck together, accumulating into planets. But here, Van Flandern questioned that if, at the beginning of the solar system, every particle was moving around the Sun at 45,000 miles per hour, how could they have collided and joined? They should have collided and exploded. So how did these planets become so symmetrical and perfectly aligned? From here, he revived an old theory, the solar fission theory. According to him, the Sun was once spinning so fast that plasma blobs were ejected from its equator into space. These blobs cooled down and formed planets, and because they came from the equator, the planets aligned in a single flat orbital plane. But Van Flandern's most shocking observation was about Mars. He found that in the planetary system planets are mostly in pairs: Earth, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. But Mars is alone. No twin, no symmetry. And from this he proposed that Mars was never a planet but a moon of a planet that is now destroyed. He named that lost planet Maldek. According to Van Flandern, Mars was Maldek's tidally locked moon, and after Maldek completely exploded, it was thrown into a new orbit where it now orbits the Sun, and the mass in the asteroid belt today is only 5% of Maldek's original mass. Besides this, Van Flandern said many other things about Maldek's destruction that also explain other mysteries of the solar system. This gives more strength to this theory. For example, Maldek's explosion released so much energy and shockwaves that the solar system's balance was completely shaken. Mars was thrown out of its orbit. Venus's rotation reversed. Uranus tumbled on its axis, and Pluto's orbit changed so much that it began to cross Neptune's orbit. But the question is, why did Maldek explode? Was it an accident, or an intelligent act by aliens? And what proof is there that Mars was once a moon full of life, orbiting Maldek? First, let's understand why Dr. Tom van Flandern considered Mars to be Maldek's moon. Well, behind this lie many secrets of Mars itself that are not normally seen with planets. If today we consider Mars to be just a dead planet, then perhaps we are overlooking the most terrifying truth about that planet. Look, the mystery of Mars is hidden more in its scattered history than in its composition. And the deepest layer of that history takes us to where Mars was once in someone else's orbit. And it orbited this beautiful super-Earth planet, Maldek, traces of which still exist on it today. For example, look at these pictures of Mars, where the northern and southern parts of Mars look like two different planets. In the northern hemisphere you find flat land, as if oceans once flowed there. But in the southern hemisphere you see a ruined world, vast craters, towering mountains. Now scientists call this contrast the Martian dichotomy. But its cause cannot be just geology, because Mars has no tectonic plates nor any signs of such a process that could explain this strange mystery. And most such patterns are only seen on a celestial body when it is tidally locked with another massive body. For example, our moon, whose side facing us shows many strange geological structures due to Earth's constant gravity. Whereas its far side, where Earth's gravitational pull is less, its surface looks completely different. In addition, two places on Mars's surface have puzzled scientists for decades: Tharsis Bulge and Arabia Terra. These two rocky geological structures are located exactly opposite each other, but the most surprising thing is that such mountainous rocks usually form due to tidal stress. We have seen such structures on Saturn's moon Enceladus, and on Jupiter's Europa and Io, where gravity is constantly pulling them in one direction, but such gravitational stress on Mars cannot be explained by any known body today. That's why many scientists consider these geological structures to be a sign of the gravity of planet Maldek, which was present when Mars was tidally locked and orbiting it. When Mars's gravitational field was mapped by high-resolution orbiters, several areas emerged where gravity was very high or very low, gravitational anomalies. The symmetry of these anomalies was as if a large external gravitational partner was once present there, and the tilt and wobble of Mars's polar axis indicate that its rotational balance was severely disturbed at some point. The cause of this is believed to be the energy released from Maldek's destruction, All this proof somehow proves that Mars was once Maldek's moon, but how did we know that there was life on it and that it ended with Maldek in a nuclear war? Well, for that, you have to see this. This is Mars's Valles Marineris. This 2,500 kilometers long, 7 kilometers deep crack is not a normal trench, nor could it have formed naturally. Because, as I told you earlier, Mars does not have plate tectonics like Earth, nor can ocean water erosion be responsible for it. So, is this a mark of a large piece from Maldek hitting Mars during its destruction, which tore the surface of Mars so badly? Well, now we come to one of our most important questions. Why do scientists say that a war fought with nuclear weapons is responsible for Maldek's destruction and the end of alien life on Mars? Look, when data from Mars was studied by NASA missions, a disturbing observation emerged. An unusual concentration of xenon-129 was found on Mars's surface. On Earth, this isotope is formed only by nuclear fission, not by volcanic activity, cosmic radiation, or any other process. On Mars, these isotopes were found in two specific regions: Cydonia, where the face on Mars is located, and Galaxious Chaos. In these places, xenon levels were 2.5 times higher than anywhere else in the solar system. And this level can only be produced by one thing: massive nuclear detonations. And now listen to a shocking fact. When we humans detonated our first nuclear weapon on Hiroshima, which killed millions of people, it was only on a 1 kiloton scale. Whereas the xenon levels we found on Mars are so high that this level could only be produced if nuclear bombs were used on a megaton scale during Mars's destruction. And this is so much energy that it can destroy an entire civilization on a planet. Besides this, there's another strange thing, and that is Mars's two small moons, Phobos and Deimos, which don't fit into any standard planetary moon formation model. Both look like asteroids, their shape is very irregular, and they orbit at such a small distance that Phobos is slowly falling, and there's a possibility that it might collide with Mars in the future. Now, if these were naturally formed moons, they wouldn't be so unstable. And if Mars had gravitationally captured them, their orbital eccentricity wouldn't be so low. And from here, another proof of Maldek's destruction is found, according to which these two moons of Mars are remnants of Maldek's destruction that were pulled into Mars's orbit and are now orbiting it. And because they are pieces formed from the destruction of a planet, their shape is so strange. Now let's talk about the surface of Mars. The most mysterious region of Mars is Cydonia, where the famous structure known as the face on Mars is located. In a picture taken in 1976, it looks like a human face. NASA called it pareidolia, meaning the human mind's ability to see shapes, a kind of illusion that our mind developed over millions of years of evolution to avoid danger. But many researchers analyzed its 3D topography and found that this structure is built with symmetry. Many nearby hills and structures are also in geometric alignment, as if an advanced alien civilization carved them itself. In short, there are many such mysteries and proofs, based on which many people, even scientists, consider Mars to be an ancient moon full of life that orbited the ancient planet Maldek in the solar system. But now the most important question: what happened to the alien civilization living on Mars that they had to destroy their own planet Maldek? So this story begins millions of years ago in the solar system, where Mars was peacefully orbiting Maldek as a moon. During this time, Mars had everything we see on Earth today: oceans, mountains, rivers, and most importantly, life. But not ordinary life, but an advanced alien civilization, just like humans, or perhaps even more advanced. Because while today's AI machines exist in our computers and slowly take our jobs, hack our systems and smartphones, and steal our personal information, these aliens on Mars had given AI physical bodies, a whole army of AI robots that built their buildings, did mining, and did every task that the Martians wanted. But then what was feared happened. These AI machines developed their own thinking ability and rebelled against these creators on Mars. For this, they chose Maldek, the planet of Mars, as their military base, where there was no one to stop the Martians. After this, all the AI robots fled from Mars and started living on Maldek, and began to build it as a planetary base. A full-fledged war now began between the Martian aliens and Maldek's AI robots, and both raced to create a weapon that could completely destroy the other. And in this weapon race, the Martian aliens won, who created such a powerful nuclear weapon that they destroyed the entire AI machine army of Maldek. But this nuclear war on Maldek was so terrible that it not only destroyed these AI machines, but the power of this nuclear weapon exploded the entire planet. The energy released from the destruction of this entire planet caused terrible devastation on Mars as well. Large pieces of Maldek rained down on Mars. Shockwaves blew its atmosphere into space. As Maldek was destroyed, Mars was released from its orbit and entered the Sun's orbit. Its magnetic field was destroyed, the oceans evaporated, and dangerous solar radiation began to hit the ground. The alien beings on it could not withstand all these devastations, and they too disappeared without a trace, just like Maldek. Only a few traces remain now, identifying this war between Maldek and Mars, such as the asteroid belt orbiting between Mars and Jupiter, and the remaining signs of destruction on Mars. So if you had to sum up the strangest truth of the solar system in one line, it would be that we are in exactly the right place, at exactly the right time. But have you ever thought about how terrifying this perfection actually is? Because when you look at the other planets, Venus's toxic, thick atmosphere and burning surface at 400 degrees Celsius, Mars's radiation-filled, icy and oxygen-less atmosphere, Uranus's seasons tumbling on its tilted axis, Earth's balance seems like a blessing. But if we consider the hypothesis of the war between Maldek and Mars, it also seems that perhaps Earth's peace is the calm before the storm, a fear that has already begun to haunt us. AI has already started destroying people's jobs and lives, and many experts around the world are already warning that in the future, this AI could become the biggest threat to humans. But can this AI also wage war against us? And will the future of Earth and its life be the same as what happened to Mars and Maldek? Well, what do you think about this? Was Maldek really an ancient planet in our solar system that was destroyed in a war with Mars and turned into the asteroid belt, as this hypothesis suggests, or is the truth something else? The comment section is open below. Be sure to share your thoughts. Friends, if you liked the video and learned something new, please like this video and share it with your friends. And one last reminder, friends, Vikrant's software is 100% free, with instant access, so don't delay. Join the Telegram channel now and get your free signal first. If you're new to this channel and you like such interesting videos, then quickly subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't lose this channel. If you liked this video, I recommend you definitely watch the next video where we talked about the mystery of Planet X. What exactly happened to Planet X, and a new discovery suggests that Planet X is now gone. And what exactly happened? Watch this video to find out. It's very interesting. I'll meet you with the next episode. Until then, bye.